2024 is coming to a close, which means it's time to sit down and talk about my favorite games from 2024. My name is James, and I started this channel simply because I love video games. If that sounds like you, please subscribe to my channel so that you can see more videos just like this one. Game of the Year is always a Game of the Year is always a very hot topic. Game of the Year is always such a hot topic. This year in particular, I was trying to not buy so many games right at launch. And there were a lot of games that came out this year that I do think I would like that I haven't gotten around to play yet, like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Black Myth Wukong, Rise of the Ronin, Metaphor ReFantazio, Animal Well, Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. And that's just to name some of the games that I still want to play from this year. None of the games that I've played so far really feel like a standout game of the year. And so instead of naming one specific game of the year, what I chose to do for this video was that I chose 5 games that did come out in 2024 that I played, that I found the experiences to be particularly special enough to bring them up in a game of the year video. So really, I think any of these could be my game of the year, but none of them really stand out above the rest, especially since all these games are very different from one another. And let's just get moving. Up first is Helldivers 2. This one is special to me because for a while, for probably 3 or 4 months, it really captured the attention of everybody. I'm not typically into multiplayer games, but a buddy of mine actually told me that he had been playing Helldivers and was really enjoying it and wanted me to come and play with him, and I did, and I had a really fun time with it. I didn't really play a ton, but it was a special experience to me because I don't play a ton of multiplayer games, and I definitely never played one like Helldivers that was completely, I think they would consider it PvE. And so what I liked about it specifically was that you were given a lot of freedom as far as your gear that you wanted to take with you and your loadout that you wanted to take and the strategy that you would employ to take down whatever it is that you're going to be fighting on this mission that you're on. Personally, I always preferred the bugs, not the robots. The robots suck. And it was fun to kind of figure out how different team members can fit into a successful team in a different way. That I'm not particularly good at shooters, so I would play a lot more of a support position. I was always the person accessing the computer in the middle of the game to kind of move the mission along, was also usually put in charge of reviving people as well. I haven't played any other multiplayer games since Helldivers 2, but Helldivers, for me, set the bar for how fun multiplayer games can be. Up next is Tribreaker, a Sacred Symbols Odyssey. This one is a much smaller game. I believe it's only $10 from Lilymo Games, and the reason I put this one on the list was because it feels so fresh and intentional that it seems like they made the game that they really wanted to make. There's lots of levels in the game that are inspired by classic arcade games like Frogger or Pac-Man or Snake or any of those, and that made it really fun to keep going to see like what kind of level am I going to get next. I also really liked that while it is a shorter and independently developed game, it doesn't go out of its way to be extremely tough or extremely difficult and punishing. The developers respect your time, and it feels like time spent playing this game was time well spent. Up next is Tales of Kenzera Zao. This one, I actually didn't even know this came out in 2024 until I was doing a little bit of research for this video, and I'm glad that it did so that I can include it here. Tales of Kenzera Zao is a Metroidvania where you play as Zao, who is mourning the loss of his father. This game was special to me for a couple of reasons. The first being that this is the first time that I've ever played a Metroidvania that is not a Metroid game. And I had a really great time with it. I loved going around I had fun going around the different areas, learning the new abilities, mastering the different abilities, but I also enjoyed the story. I thought it had a very touching and thoughtful story about loss and coping with loss and feeling like a victim and almost like a sense of like entitlement, which I'm not going to get into much more than that, but I really enjoyed Tales of Kenzera Zao, and I cannot wait to see what that team makes next. Up next is Astro Bot. Astro Bot is a really competent 3D platformer that does an excellent job at celebrating PlayStation's history. It's special to me as somebody who doesn't really have a long history with PlayStation, being able to use Astro Bot as a lens to see what PlayStation views as important parts of their own history. And as somebody who does really enjoy platformers, I had a great time going through the levels, finding all of the different bots, playing through the challenge levels. I thought the boss battles in particular were all very good, and I'm very glad I played it. I'm looking forward to getting more Astro Bot games in the future. The last game that I want to talk about today is Banishers Ghosts of New Eden. In this game, you play as a husband and wife who are banishers of ghosts, so their job is to help ghosts move on into the afterlife. And then something happens early on in the game that you as the player are required to make a choice. That you have to decide if you're going to do your job as a banisher and help spirits move into the afterlife the way you're supposed to, or if you're going to banish them and basically gain that power as your own in order to recover something that you've lost. And I found the decision making and the story and the branching pathways and the different investigations that you do to be very exciting and very compelling. That it's half action game and then almost half like investigation simulator, and I really liked it, especially considering that this was a game that I picked it up kind of being on the fence about it, and I liked it enough that I'd like to play some more games from that same studio, and I'm going to look forward to whatever they create next. Guys, those have been my favorite games of 2024. In the comment section, please let me know what games you liked this year. Until next time, the best way to keep up with me is on Twitter and on Instagram at James_Solar and on Blue Sky at jamessolar.bsky.social. Thanks, guys.